In this video, I'm going to show you, as a Salamanca House tutor, how to use Zoom to deliver your lessons. So first of all, when you join us, the first thing we'll do is we'll give you a Salamanca House account. So for example, if your name is Pepe, then we will set up a Zoom account for you with the login pepe@salamancahouse.com, and you will get a password which will enable you to enter that Zoom account. Now, you might already have a Zoom account, but we want you to have a Zoom account which is associated with us so that we can set up your classes via that Zoom account, and we will also establish your pupils as contacts within the Zoom account. So if you have never used Zoom before on your PC or laptop, the first thing that you're going to have to do once we've set up this Zoom account for you, is you're going to have to download what is called the Zoom client. Let's just have a look at that. Okay, to do this, you go to Zoom. And as I said before, your name is Pepe, so let's just type in as the password that we give you. Now, what you'll need to do is click on Resources and then download Zoom client. Okay, you do that. Now, the Zoom client is something which kind of interacts with your laptop PC and the Zoom account, which is in the Zoom server. And what you need to do then is just download the Zoom client. Okay, we install it, run. Okay, and that Zoom client is now installed on your laptop. And what we're going to do now is we're going to sign into the Zoom client using the same login details that we used before to access your account. All right, so we click on sign in and then Pepe. Okay, so there's your Zoom client. And now then, what I want to explain to you now is the procedure that happens when you have a class with us. So the first thing that I will do as the Director of Studies is I will set up a meeting via your Zoom client. For example, I have access to this, so I'm able to go in and out of that and set up the meeting. And to do that, I'll click on Schedule. And so, for example, let's call this, you're going to have a class with Fred, for example. So, okay, and let's schedule that, for example, for Wednesday the 26th at 6 o'clock in the evening, duration 1 hour. So all of your classes with us will be 1 hour long. And these will probably be recurring classes. So they will be recurring at the same time every week unless specified otherwise. So I'm going to enable it so that the video is on for both hosts and participants when they come into the class, and we'll just schedule that now. So I'm going to finish that by inviting Fred to the class. So if we go to your Zoom client now and have a look at meetings here at the top, you'll see there that this class has now been scheduled. It's called Spanish Class Tutor Pepe, Pupil Fred. Okay, and that meeting is for tomorrow at 6 o'clock in the evening. Okay, so when you want to access that meeting, okay, the first thing that you would attempt to do is enter the meeting by clicking on this start button here. And you would do that, for example, probably best to get there before the pupil. So if you can get there sort of 10 minutes before, that would be great. Okay, so you're there waiting in the meeting room when the pupil arrives. Now, at the same time, the pupil has been sent an invitation to his or her email address, and they will do the same thing. They will respond to that invitation to the same meeting by clicking on the appropriate link, and that will then bring them to this same meeting. Now then, if for some reason that protocol does not work, for example, there's a second option. Okay, so I want you to pay careful attention to this. If you look at your contact lists, you will see that I have already set Fred Smith up as one of your contacts, so that all of your pupils that you teach through Salamanca House will be there in this, underneath this external tab. They will be there present as listed as pupils. So, for example, if for some reason you are unable to make contact with Fred by clicking on that meeting tab, then you can also make contact to him by clicking on this tab here in the contact list and clicking on, for example, meet with video. Okay, so as soon as I clicked on that invitation there, this video icon, Fred Smith was invited to the meeting, and he will receive a kind of like a little ringing tone on his laptop, which will sound and tell him that you're trying to contact him, and he will then respond to that invitation by clicking on the appropriate icon, and that will also bring him to the lesson. Okay, so if you got that, there are two ways in which you can get to the lesson. Let's just repeat that again. First of all, by clicking on this Start button here in the Meetings section within your Zoom client, to which your pupil will have also received an email invitation, and he will click on the appropriate link in that email invitation, which will bring him to that meeting. If that fails, again, I repeat, if that fails, then what you then do is you go to your contact list, you click on your pupil who will be there in your contact list, and you click on the video icon there, which will send an invitation directly to his or her screen, which will have some kind of ringtone, which will let them know that you are trying to contact them, and then they can then come into the lesson to join you. Now, just finally, what I suggest you did, I forgot to mention that before, is that you make sure that your Zoom client, for example, is positioned there on your desktop, right? So you've got easy access to that. And again, it's through this Zoom client that you will enter or leave the meetings with your pupils. Your pupil will also have a Zoom client on his or her screen, which will enable them to enter or leave the meetings. Okay, so I hope that's clear. Thank you for listening.